Alright guys, this is going to be the update of the CI Archmage Spark character. Now I've made some considerable changes in the last 24 hours. With the last video I made, I only really had about 12 hours of actual hands on the game from when I was back from vacation, and I didn't really understand a few of the things, and I probably should have waited till this one. But as you could see from the couple of the clips at the start, there's been some big increases in damage, and if you clicked on for the title of the video, basically how I've got my Spark to over 70k Tooltip DPS, and that's the non-crit version with Lightning Rod anointed as well. And there's still heaps of room for improvement. I'm going to go through a few things today, going to go through the changes I made, have a little look at my gear breakdown as well. So yeah, we'll keep going through that. So the first thing I've done is my gem links. As you can see here, 72.7k Spark DPS. I've taken out Fork for considered casting. Now, you can see it adds quite a bit of damage on the tooltip, 10k, but I've just found, now that I've got this type of damage, I don't need Fork to actually clear in the maps. So, mapping's fine, everything's okay with that. I'm going to try Simulacrum again a bit later, and hopefully I don't need Fork for that, but I may mess around with that just in case I need it. If I still need Fork, I can use the Mana Tempest, so I can still use Chain rather with it, so I just go in here, and I'm actually chaining there. So that will help with my clear if I really desperately need it. But for now, I'm very happy not using Fork in the setup at all. So no Fork, no Pierce. It's been absolutely fine, a breeze mapping with that one. All right, the next thing is a couple of gear changes. So we had this wand in the last video, but I haven't actually shown it on to anyone yet. So I bought this just before I went away on vacation. I don't know how much it's worth now. But again, I'm not really utilizing the crit hit chance, so it's probably worth more than what I'm utilizing it for. I might need to sell this and get one without crit, but it's quite solid. I definitely think it's pretty close between the extra lightning damage and the spell damage on that one. Now, the next big piece I want to go over is the offhand slot. So I've seen a lot of people using shields. I've seen a lot of people using the new Trialmaster shield, which can give a ton of mana. And then we've also got the option that I've decided to go with this one. So I actually did try the Trialmaster shield, and I did get a little bit more mana, but it wasn't enough for me to justify it. Now, I have a Dream Fragment, so my increased mana is already a little bit from that, so maybe adding too much of that increased max mana isn't as effective for me as it would be for some other builds. But my focus, if you have a quick look at my damage, 72,000, it's almost giving me half my damage. So it's quite a good upgrade. Now, it wasn't too expensive, this one. So I've gone with the +2 to all spell skills, as well as the increased spell damage. So a big reason why my damage was a lot lower on my other characters is because I didn't have a lot of increase. So I didn't have much increased spell damage, I didn't have a lot of increased lightning damage. So I've made a few changes on gear and a couple of changes on the tree to incorporate that increased spell damage or increased lightning damage to the build to make sure that I'm getting more damage with that. So that's what I've gone with for now. It's given me quite a substantial boost in DPS at the cost of a little bit of mana, because I've got the Eldritch Battery still converting the 157 ES over to mana, and obviously these got to about 300, but I thought it was a worthy sacrifice for this one. Okay, next change we're going to talk about is the Time Lost Diamond unique jewel. So I was looking at these, I was looking for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just researching what I thought would be the best. I did like the idea of going down the spirit angle, maybe squeezing enough spirit in to fit in like a cast on shock or something like that. But then I thought, you know what, I'm trying to do a little bit too much there. Let's just go with as much damage as I can kind of find, and we'll go with that. So this cost me about 15 divines. So it's got small passives, grant 1% increased mana, and then it's got 4% damage, it's extra lightning for the notables. Now I've decided to put it over here. I've tried a couple of places. With a little bit of a respec, I thought this was kind of the best. So this is giving me 7% increased mana and 12% gained as lightning. So the mana nodes, so we've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have the gain is extra lightning. So 4 there, 4 there, and 4 there. So it's giving me, like I said, 7% mana and 12% lightning. It is a little bit of DPS and a little bit of mana, but it's not necessarily that much better than a good 4-stat jewel. So I go from 6, 8.9 to 7, 2.7, and 5.449 mana to about 5.7. So I would say it's maybe slightly better than a 4-stat jewel, but it's definitely not something you have to get for the build, but this is what I've decided to do with it. But you do have to do a respec into these cast speed nodes to make it worth it. Now, To get these cast speed nodes, I dropped the energy shield nodes over here. So I dropped these nodes over here because I felt, you know, I've got about 12k effective health, and I've got a few ideas to boost that with other directions, and maybe not needing to worry about stacking the energy shield as much. So I thought I would drop this kind of over here, respec a little bit at the start. So I'm piling through here now to actually facilitate this change. And the other thing I did was pick up these spell damage nodes here. So I basically sacrificed these two plus 10 to ES nodes and filled in this to start. So it's giving me, what's that, 36 damage for that. So 36 increased spell damage. So I felt that was quite a solid upgrade for me as well with that one. My next upgrade is probably going to be dropping these stun thresholds here, because I managed to pick up a jewel with stun threshold and I just want to test it out. So I might drop these and then pick up the these couple of nodes here. The magnitude of the shock is quite big, and I'll explain why shortly with that. Probably the fourth big upgrade that I have got is the actual gem, the spark. I've got a level 21. So obviously I can still get that with a Varlob to 21, which I will be doing shortly. And this will give me, I reckon, 13k DPS. So this will go to about 85k after I Val it and hit the 21, which I'll eventually do. So that's the changes, or like the massive changes in terms of the gear. Other than that, everything's pretty similar. I do have an idea with the gear that I'm going to facilitate over the next couple of days on stream, so you can come watch me try to do that. I'm going to try push for 120 spark, which I will kind of sort out over the next few days, and I might do one more update video on that. All right, passive tree. So obviously I was testing out the chill in the last video, and since then I've come to the conclusion that this double shock is way too strong, and this exposure is really nice as well. So the double shock, it's really easy to get shocked on everything, and then you can actually boost the shock with shock magnitude. So things like the node over here, so magnitude of non-damaging elements, that boosts the shock percentage. We also have the shock you can get on jewels as well, so shock magnitude there. And like I said, I'm going to pick up some over here as well. So getting some shock magnitude is quite nice. Now I currently have 2 shocks that do 33%, so the enemy's taking 66% more damage from that, and that's a huge multiplier with that. I also have the Scouring Winds. It actually does lower the resists below negative, so from what I've heard, so it is a ton of damage with that one there. And then the other thing that I briefly talked about before was the Lightning Rod Anoint. A lot of people are doing the crit variant. I'm doing the non-crit variant, so it makes all my non-crits lucky. So again, I'll just quickly explain that. If we have the 1600 lightning damage here, so it's between 1600 and 31,000, it's going to roll the number twice. So it's going to roll the number twice and take the biggest one. So if it rolls like a 2,000 and a 25,000, it's going to take 25,000 lightning damage there. And that's how it kind of multiplies your damage. So I've heard from people that it's like 50% more damage, and this doesn't actually show you on Tooltip. So whatever my damage is, add another 50% for it, and that's kind of what Lightning Rod is doing with that one. Okay, so that's what we're going to be kind of doing on stream over the next few days. We're going to be upgrading the gear. There's a couple of pieces. I reckon I can get to hopefully around 7k now and boost that DPS number well into the 100,000s with also a Lightning Rod on that. So if you would like to actually come watch me do this, I'm going to be streaming on YouTube and Twitch. I'll have the links in the description. If you want me to answer any questions that you might have, or you just want to see how I kind of progress with terms of getting some currency and finding some gear, hopefully I'll see you there. I'm probably going to be streaming when this video is uploaded. I'm going to try to do a 6-hour stream tonight, so hopefully I'll see you guys all there. And if you do want to have any updates, I'm going to have a couple more videos over the next few days. Feel free to subscribe for that one.